have a question real quick. Um, this is not necessarily business brokerage kind of question. So I'm licensed in Virginia and recently in Maryland. Well, recently as of last year in Maryland. I came across a business broker who referred to me a client who was interested in purchasing ALFs. Um, and so, long story short, with that client, we ended up not purchasing because we were having conflict with some of the investors that were involved. They did not want to sign an NDA. They wanted to stay private. They didn't want anybody to know who they were. So, like, while we were asking for proof of funds, they were not willing to give it to us. And then the seller's like, well, I'm not willing to give y'all like deep information about this business because then that's going to start up a slur of like, having to pay attorneys and title agencies and all this other stuff just to give you information. And I don't even know if you're able to afford it. So, long story short, we ended up not having a deal. We lost that contract. And so, um, I am no longer working with that client because it's been a year and we still have not been able to get funding or some type of proof of fund that she's even able to afford any type of ALF or even get other investors on board.
Yeah.
So with that, I got a little taste of what it's like to be in that world because I'm mostly residential. And so I now want to attract more clients in that field, in the ALF field. What is your best suggestion or best advice on how to attract those type of clients?
All right. So first of all, let's
I
talk
know
about
it's like a
ALF.
loaded question. I'm sorry. It's a huge
No,
question. Sorry.
but go ahead and so can you tell us what you mean by ALF?
ALFs are assisted living facilities. My client, she works as a consultant for different assisted living facilities. She's been in the field for about 20 something years. And um, so now she wants to own her own assisted living facility and run it and have it manned and, run the everyday processes and get
Right.
it running. Um, but I wanted to attract more clients that are within her field. Um, and I just don't know how to go about doing that.
So a couple things. First of all, I mean, you need to have a conversation with your state broker because
Hmm.
in California, assisted living facilities are considered businesses. And
Hmm.
so you have to be with the XP commercial in order to sell them. Um,
Right. So it's the same thing here in Virginia and Maryland. So I had a business broker in which I was affiliated with that I would take care of the real estate portion, i.e. the building, and then they would then take care of the business portion. Um, and then the business broker would do the sale of the business side, and then I would do the real estate side.
yeah, it's a little, it can be very complicated
Right. I've noticed.
because how do you sell the business? Well, I mean, I guess in theory you could sell the business without selling the building.
Hmm.
Many times the sellers want to sell the whole thing as a
Right.
package in its
Right. And
entirety.
that's how it was. And when we wrote up the contract, that's exactly how it was. It's just that within the contract, it was detailed as to what the business was worth, what the building was worth, and that kind of stuff. So the contract, the business broker was actually the one who wrote up the contract and everything.
Mhm.
So it was very detailed as to what was allocated to what. Um, and so,
Yeah. But in terms of attracting, first of all, business brokers typically will go and try and deal with sellers, with business owners,
mhm, mhm,
because buyers, if you have a good business to sell, you can usually find buyers. Finding the buyers is not the problem. If
right.
you have a buyer that wants to buy a business, and even if you have an exclusive representation agreement with that buyer, it can
Mhm.
become very challenging and very difficult
Right.
to find something that is acceptable to them and have them actually close on the transaction. And so sometimes you will end up spending a year or two with a buyer and
Right.
end up doing, you know, getting
Absolutely
nothing
nothing, which is
and
like
getting
what
and
I
not
went
getting
through now.
compensated. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the focus typically from most business brokers is on finding business owners that are wanting to retire because you have this
Ah,
whole thing called the silver tsunami right now.
right.
And so there are a lot of probably the statistic I saw was 40% of all businesses, small businesses in the United States are owned by baby boomers. And
Mm,
so if you think about baby boomers right now, the bottom, the lower end of the baby boomers is now 62 years old. Okay, that's the bottom of the baby boomers. So baby boomers are ranging from 62 up to about 82. They're wanting to retire. And you got 40% of the businesses out there owned by them. So, you know, that's the focus. You know, that is your primary area where you're going to be able to find business owners that want to sell, that are motivated to sell, that are willing to sell. And then once you have a good business, finding the buyer is not that complicated. And you did the right thing asking a buyer for proof of funds. There's nothing wrong with that. And I can tell you that there's a lot of buyers right now that are taking courses online. They're paying good money to take these courses online that are telling them how they can buy a business with no money down or buy a business using the seller's money or, you know, just all kinds of nonsense. And so you do have to screen these people because you don't want your sellers to get burned.
right, right. Okay. All right. And also,
Hmm.
I think what I'm understanding is if I want to get into that sector, I should gear myself towards people who have owned their businesses, over 30 years and are looking to retire, and then offer them my services to aid them in selling their businesses in conjunction with a business broker to help the business side, and I do the real estate side. Because I'm not a business broker, so I'm, your typical real estate agent, residential side. So, okay.
Yeah.
I think I understand what you're trying
Yeah,
to
and
tell me.
just have a good partner. I mean, it works well when you partner with somebody, as long as you guys have guidelines, you understand, you know, you're both on the same
Right,
page about what the splits are, what the rules are, and
right.
you know, you can change them deal by deal, but it makes more sense just to partner
Right.
up with somebody and say, okay, this is how we're going to do things. Every deal
Hmm.
might be a little bit different, but at the end of the day, you're
Hmm.
both working hard and you both need to be compensated for what you do.